Hello everybody, Matt Davis here with more homework quiz help. This one is from section 7.1. Suppose that we are taking a random sample of size 771 from a population where the true proportion of successes is 0.4171. Suppose that our sample contained 325 successes. Find the sampling error for this point estimate. Round your answer to 4 decimal places. So the first thing, in the interest of giving help rather than answers, we're going to change this from 325 to 327. All right, so now thinking about what they want us to do, they want us to find the sampling error for this point estimate. Well, the point estimate is actually the answer from the previous problem, so let's go back and do that real quick. This problem is about proportions, so your point estimate would be the sample proportion. So point estimate for a proportion problem is a sample proportion. That would be p hat, which would be x over n, where x is the number of successes in your sample. That would be this 327 right here. And n would be your sample size, and it says we have a sample of size 771, so that's n right there. So p hat is x over n, which is 327 over 771. And then we take that to the calculator, divide it, round it to 4 decimal places. So I'm going to go ahead and just put the answer for that, which is 0.4241. So there's our point estimate. So again, that's the previous question to this one. So now let's go and find the sampling error. So for sampling error, let's go ahead and take a look at the formula sheet real quick. So on the formula sheet under chapter 7, right in the middle of that line, you see SE, which stands for sampling error, equals the absolute value of p hat minus p. So that's the formula we need right there. So we're going to take that and write it down. So sampling error is equal to the absolute value of p hat minus p. And we want to go ahead and calculate that. So it's really just a subtraction where we make sure we don't give a negative answer. So the p hat we just calculated. The other thing we need is p. Up here it talks about the true proportion. So it says the true proportion of successes. So what follows that is going to be p. So this number right there is p. So when we do p hat minus p, we have 0.4241 minus the true value of p, which is 0.4171. When we do the subtraction right there, we get 0.0070. That would be an absolute value. Absolute value will take a negative number and make it positive. It takes a positive number and just leaves it alone. So we'll have 0.0070. I would write that 0 at the end, even though it doesn't change the value of the number. They did ask us to give our answer to 4 decimal places, so we should do that and list that number. And then other things about like what might go wrong here. A lot of times people will overly complicate this question, and it has to do with similar wordings from other problems. So we have other wordings like expected sampling error, and we have problems where we talk about the probability of getting an acceptable amount of sampling error. So both of those have the phrase sampling error in them. But on this one, we're trying to find the sampling error of the point estimate, which is a different situation. So when you want the sampling error of the point estimate, then you're going to use this formula right here. Sampling error is the absolute value of the difference between your sample proportion and the true proportion. So it's actually quite easy in the sense that it's just a subtraction, but it's tricky in that there's a couple other more complicated problems that use the phrase sampling error in them. So you have to be really careful with the wording to make sure that you don't get off track here. All right, I hope that helps you out. Good luck as you return back to the quiz.